gonna hit record. That way, just we'll just start when
With
everybody
our
feels ready.
yeah, we can start the show. Goobcast.
All right,
Uh,
so welcome to the Goob Squad. Our
hello, hello.
today's topic is going to be basically guilty pleasures. More specifically, what's the worst media that you experience, but you still enjoy it. So it could be movie, games, or shows. Any of those will be fine, including books and even graphic novels or something like that. Yeah. So, but mostly media. I think that's something that everybody is more willing to talk to about or have something in mind.
Well, even just airing on it being guilty pleasures is fine too. It doesn't
Mm,
necessarily have to be worse. It could be considered worse by
Mm,
society, but
true.
that's
yes.
an idea.
True. Very true indeed. And I think we're at episode. This is episode 13.
Ooh,
Ooh,
lucky number
Mm.
13.
how suitable!
Haha.
It really
Indeed.
feels like 2020 has been a long string of the Friday the 13th.
Watched those a couple of those movies the other day. 'Cause I hadn't watched them in a long time. I mean, I never liked that franchise. Like it's just poorly done. But
And
man,
speaking
those
of bad
movies,
media,
I had to go back 'cause I hadn't watched them in a while, and yeah, they're still fucking terrible.
uh, but
I
they're
guess they're
terrible in a
worth
good
watching.
way.
Not really. Like honestly, they're just bad. Like they're like really not even that fun to watch.
Ouch.
Gee
Good
God,
point.
there go like sting on them for that. Boo.
Well,
I
that's the
mean,
thing, right?
they didn't put a lot of effort in those movies. Like there are
Yeah.
several shots where you can easily see like the cameramen and like the boom mic operators like in the reflections and shit. I was like freeze framing it constantly. I'm like, surely I didn't actually see that. No,
that
there they
didn't
are.
really happen, did it? And then like there you go.
Yeah,
You saw it and you're like, why?
yeah. It's entire characters and plot lines are just like they're just there for the kills, but like the other characters don't even like know what's happening. It's so ridiculous.
Well,
Uh,
people were there to see, teenagers being killed and being horny.
Yeah, that is the
Killed
majority of
for
those
their
movies.
horniness.
Yeah.
Mm. You always want to kill the horny ones because that's totally not at all something that we all go through on a
We
daily
really need
basis.
to go back
exactly.
and play that Friday the 13th game. Like, just somehow we need to
Do
manage
we?
to get everybody together. and then have a cheese ball situation of somebody's playing the whore. Oh my god, I dropped my makeup. I don't know.
With
I
all the
dropped my
things with
panties.
children and the dice roll of item drops of hopefully getting something better than the knife to kill Jason with.
Or is it
I mean, Jason's
or
insanely hard to kill with anything.
right. Or is it the Dead by Daylight? Is that the one where it's like it has all the different horror
Yeah, that's
genres?
spoilers, yeah.
I see.
That one's basically the PUBG of its genre, right? Like that's the one that had
I mean,
No.
it's still doing really well, yeah.
yeah
It's a big streamer game.
it really popularized the asymmetric play in a way that what was the name of the game? Evolved never could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't gain the kind of competitive traction as that they wanted to get
Mm-hmm.
from it. Yep, it's unfortunate. Had potential.
If they just hadn't buried it in microtransactions.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah, maybe they should have done that. If they did that, then maybe they would last a little longer. It's unfortunate. Then again, kind of hard to compete against the whole battle royale, like chaos happening.
Yeah. Again, it's the thing where we know better in hindsight. Like that model for Evolve would have probably worked out if it would have come out today and they had known, okay, we're gonna make this free to play and just make it a platform for microtransactions, which is the way that most of these games survive nowadays.
I mean, it
But
definitely should have been free to play, but it was also a thing. Like, I didn't play the game. I know you guys did, but I didn't play it. But I know that it wasn't really well balanced. Like, playing as the like it's sort of the same thing. Like they just came out with that Predator Hunting Grounds game. Like it's a similar thing where it's just like in that game, the Predator is actually super underpowered. Like it's really hard to play as him, and it's easy to get swarmed by the commandos, which is ironic. Like it's the you figure it would be the other way around, as it sort of should be, and that would like encourage team cooperation and stuff. But you can literally, if you're a commando, you can just go off by yourself. You see the Predator, it's hard to like traverse as the Predator and stuff. So you just see him and you just blast them, and it's pretty easy to kill them. Like it's again.
That's how one person.
Super,
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just super. It's just not balanced well at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's by the same. I believe it's by that same studio too that made Friday the 13th.
I think there's a inherent problem with those type of games where it's always
definitely tricky.
Like, how much power do you give the one solo against the four, and then how much do you give the four against to defend themselves and like try to conquer or outplay the one?
Yeah.
I think eventually people just figure something out and exploit the living shit out of it to a point where like it's not fun to play the one. Sometimes getting ganged up on by somebody or the group.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm sure that everybody wants to play as the badass, as the the monster itself.
Something that wants to be powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And with the kind of queues that people log in, it's like you're only gonna play, that one guy once, and if you're lucky, you're gonna be able to, to get a good game. And if you're unlucky, you're gonna find a whole bunch of other people who know exactly what they're doing, and you're out of the game soon.
Yeah, those are definitely games where you have to play with a group of friends. Like it's just not gonna be nearly as fun playing with just random people.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the topic. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So one of the things that I was thinking about that isn't a very good movie, but I still enjoy it was
The Smurfs.
What?
just randomly saying the Smurfs.
Oh, the Smurfs. All right, let's go with that. I have no idea what that movie's all about.
I would lose all respect for you if I knew you'd watched it.
All right, cool. Then it's the Smurfs. God.
But
yeah, it's Legend. It's by Ridley Scott. It's what was it? Had Tom Cruise in it. It's like really old, like the much younger Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, it's from the 80s.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not a great movie at all. Like it has a lot of like flaws to it, and the thing that I keep watching it for is like pretty much the makeup effects and the kind of whimsical world that they're in with the especially the aesthetic of like when they go to the darknesses like home or whatever, which is like equivalent to like it's like hell being like some sort of weird dark castle.
Yeah.
So it was pretty. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, a lot of those. It's funny how a lot of those 80s movies didn't have like the best of plots, but they had like some amazing like special effects.
Yeah.
Creature design and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of Ridley Scott's old stuff.
Did it have unicorns? I know
Yep,
Ridley Scott is supposed to have a hard-on for unicorns.
It definitely had unicorns in it. Yep, that was the whole. That was actually the plot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's legit the plot. The plot is that there's 2 unicorns, and one of these like I don't know. She's not like a princess or anything, but she's like one of the village girls or some shit that like fell in love with Tom Cruise's character, who is essentially like a lost, like the equivalent to a Peter Pan lost boy kind of thing, who just lives in the forest, you know, and it's assumed that he's like kind of more in tune with nature, and he, as a gift, brings her to the unicorns that, like he's a good tracker or whatever, I guess. I mean, based on assumption, of course.
Right.
He knows where they go, and he brought her to the unicorns, and they're not. There's like some sort of taboo or something, like you're not supposed to interact with the unicorns because they're like the epitome of what was it, of all creation or some shit. So it's like they're super sacred. So they kind of played this whole like the Adam and Eve apple situation. She wasn't supposed to interact with them, but she's being innocent about it, and she, you know, is kind of mischievous in her own ways. So she goes to go and touch the unicorns, and coincidentally, at the same time, the main villain, I think, called Darkness.
That's the devil-looking guy, right?
Yeah, that's played by, was it Curry? Was it
Tim Curry?
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
He's cool in everything he's in.
Yeah. I remember him in that very well. And what was it? So he had a hunting party trying to go hunt it down, and you know, I guess I don't know how he fucking figured it out that this situation was gonna happen, that she was gonna interact with the damn unicorns, and amongst the interaction was enough time for one of their like cohorts to shoot a poison dart at it to knock it out, and then they captured and cut off the unicorn horn, which causes all this chaos happening, you know, because of magic reasons. Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you cut off a unicorn's horn, bad things happen. Obviously.
Or else you wouldn't have a movie, you know.
Yeah, it's science.
It's science. It's science. But yeah, you know, that was like, aside from all that stuff, I love I like the creatures in there. Like, all the creatures were really cool. And then obviously, like, Darkness was like stealing the show in terms of like how epic he looked. And you know, just the way he acted was really, really cool. So aesthetically, really well done. Story-wise, not there.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those cult classics, you know?
Yeah, I think also one of the bad things about it is that I watched the American version, the theatrical version, where they fucking put in that 80s band Tangerine Dream on there. And it wasn't meant to be like that. So imagine, like, if you were to put, like, I don't know, a pop song over Lord of the Rings. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
you change
right.
it to a jukebox musical, really.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, like, one of those it wasn't
In the middle of Boromir, you know, dying, you know, to the arrows, they're like, "I want it died away."
or they put in like, "I'm a bad guy."
Oh my God, they're back again.
Shit.
Brothers, sisters, everybody say. Anyway, we yeah.
That's one of the biggest kind of kerfuffles of the film. It's more known for that shit than it is known for any. Okay, it's known for that and known for the makeup. That's it. But
Right.
aside from that, no one says anything about anything else.
That's funny. I actually did not know that it had pop music in that.
Well, it was, I don't
in
know.
its
It's like a
fantasy setting.
synth kind of poppy. I don't know. It's not really pop. Like it's
But it sounds modern enough at the time.
too
to be
modern.
pop.
Yeah, it was way too modern for this kind of fucking background.
Right.
Right.
So
Like,
again,
it wasn't matching the setting.
yeah, and a classic Ridley Scott, he always makes a director's cut version of it. So I got to see the version that
Yeah,
he.
and a million other cuts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A million other. It's that he really does suffer that artist problem, where he's always wanting to go back and like tweak it and fix it.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is like just because the theaters in different countries like will release it differently, and they'll sort of they'll like mix and match the edits. But like part
Mm,
of it is like where he's just like unsatisfied with it, and he kind of just like can't let it just be released and just kind of let it go.
yeah,
Which is the classic Blade Runner thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like the version that everybody loves is the version that didn't come out until like 13 years ago. Like even though the movie came out in 1982, and it's considered such a classic, but the final cut is the one that everybody really remembers and loves, but it didn't come out until fairly recently.
yeah.
So was it
Cult
that
resurgence?
that the case for Legend, where like the studio mandated to put modern music?
Yeah,
Uh,
they basically went bring it out into America. They were trying to promote also the band, the music. So they were using the music to kind of, because no one at the time really cared about this kind of like was into this kind of movie,
mhm.
So they were worried that it wasn't getting the traction that they needed, so they put
Yeah,
it with the fucking that band that was
right.
releasing their stuff, and they're like pretty known. Tangerine Dream, I think it was called.
Yeah, because good music that makes a good movie. That's enough. Like Suicide
Hmm.
Squad knows all
Right.
about that, right?
I know, right? Imagine how much better Lord of the Rings would be if it had Britney Spears in it.
Yeah.
Put in some Green Day,
Oh my
Broken
god.
Boulevard. Was it Boulevard of Broken Dreams? That
Yeah.
fucking thing was overplayed so much. In
Oh yeah, the whole American Dream album was just like totally exploited just for the the
yeah,
political atmosphere.
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah,
Gotta make the money
early two
somehow, I suppose.
thousands. Early 2000s,
Hmm. I'm surprised there's we haven't had another Green Day resurgence on that. I bet they're trying, but I don't know. Hasn't
I
really
mean, Rage Against the Machine is trying. The problem
Oh
is
yeah.
that like they're such hypocrites. Like their music
Oh
is
yeah.
all about like the man and like the system and like not giving into that, but they live in mansions and stuff, which I don't blame them for, obviously, but it's just like they're so hardcore with it and like and it's just like it just doesn't match and like people just don't take to it because it's just like
Hold on there. I mean, if
Hmm.
you're in that kind of tax bracket, obviously the IRS is part of the machine, and it's not necessarily to your convenience. Just plain devil's advocate there.
you
I mean they tax you more, but you still have more money in the end. It's not like you're.
True.
It's not like you're.
Yeah.
You're not well off, or you're wanting for anything.
Right. I mean, they could sell their
Also,
properties and
there's
stuff
so
like
many
that.
ways that they evade taxes. Like it's just like it's not like it's. I don't know. I don't really feel any sympathy for them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not, and
Enough.
again, I don't blame them. I'm like, if my music was popular and I was making a ton of money, no matter what the subject matter, I would take the money. I'm not certainly not blaming them, but at the same time, I don't blame people for not taking them seriously.
Hmm.
When like, because like even outside of their music, they're like so like hardcore anti-establishment, and it's just like, I mean, either kind of practice what you preach, or just like tone it down on the preachiness.
Right. I understand that for sure. I think it was like what they haven't been together for like over a decade or 5 years or something
Yeah, I
like that.
think they reunite for certain concerts,
Yeah, like they haven't
but
like
they don't. I don't think they've like actually released a new album in a
right.
while.
I think the funny thing too is like they like well, I mean, we could always talk about some other time, but yeah, I think they
right.
argue a lot. Like they're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a couple of them are completely radicalized in one
right.
sense, and then others not so much. And it's kind of
Well,
a weird balance between like their nutty situation.
well, I wouldn't really see it as a, hypocrisy, but there's a little bit of a paradox of having to be, you know, popular enough to be able to like promote a message, and just the difficulty that you wouldn't be able to do it without that kind of capital. Like you can't have capitalistic tendencies without having to be all for demand.
Right. It's kind of
I
hard
guess. I mean, in their
to.
early days, they didn't have money and they were more popular than ever.
Right.
It's just like when their music got popular, that's when they got more money, and then
I
it
think.
became what it is.
I think. What was it that they tried to? Well, they knew that their work would could get easily exploited by labels. And that's why they tried to get away from that, which in itself, like, in order to get away from that, you would have to have essentially money to even do that in the first place. But I don't know the complexities to that, or can't say too much. But I definitely agree that yeah, it
Yeah.
makes
Well,
sense
I mean,
that a lot of people like would easily point out the hypocritical like image or the optics of it.
what was I gonna say? Well, when it comes to a resurgence from Green Day, it's a 30-year cycle. Remember, like nostalgic things always come back after 30 years. Like, the 80s are popular right now. The 90s are gonna be popular next decade. The next decade is gonna be the early 2000s.
Mm, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I believe that.
yeah. Ugh, if you make it to 2030. Um, let's see. I was thinking of the. How about video games? Do you have a video game that you're like, oh, I can't believe I used
And
to?
anything's good, whatever you find that wasn't all great, or whatever you found that was actually kind of good, despite everybody hating. That's the whole idea. All media matters.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything like their own take?
I might have a few things. All right, so I'm
Okay.
going to start off with a movie. Um, now, I know this is a movie that has been panned by a lot of internet critics. Technically, the animation isn't that good for 3D, but I know what they were trying to do with it. And I can't for the life of me really hate Food Fight. Like, I know I can laugh at how silly it is and how bad a lot of the production values are because, yeah, it is nowhere near Toy Story level. But I can understand what it was trying to do. It was trying to be the product placement equivalent of Roger Rabbit. And the influence does seem to be more Roger Rabbit because it's technically a detective story, but it's more like it was trying to be a Casablanca um, send off, I guess. But generally, the idea is that a grocery store uh, a grocery store has a missing product and it turns into a hostile takeover. And that's pretty much what Food Fight is. But the lore of Food Fight is that every product mascot is sentient, sapient. They all have a life when the store closes.
Oh,
And
I see.
they're all living in the supermarket as if it is a tiny world of their own, a secret world where no one can see it apparently. And that is how we have our characters meet up. They're all mascots of different food products. The main character is this dog, Dex, dog detective, who's voiced by Charlie Sheen, and he's this serial mascot who falls in love with this mascot of raisins. I don't know. But it's a cat girl for raisins, and before their wedding day, she goes missing, and that's how the story unfolds because she's a missing food product, and he's just trying to get on with his life. She could be missing or dead. He's all gloomy. He runs the nightclub, and that's where the new product moves in. And well, the new product moves in when a Christopher Lloyd voiced man sells the new product. It goes in and out of the food world and the real world, and it doesn't really have any consistency on how it works. But it's just so damn silly when you're watching it because you know that they're trying to play something straight, and you know they're trying to be all Looney Tunes, but the comedy never sticks. It looks like it's always moving. There's always people doing some crazy slapstick that's like throwaway gags. Like you can see there are flaws with this movie, unforgivable flaws.
Mm.
It's just the story and the presentation just make it one of those riff tracks type of movies, but you can enjoy it without a riff. Or you could just have it playing in the background. But it's one of those kind of movies where it's just you could listen to it, everything's radio, everything sounds sane, but when you not everything, but most things sound sane. But when you look at the visuals, it's just holy shit, how did they sign off on this? Did they really have better footage? Like, you'll see walk-ons by Mr. Clean and Charlie the Tuna and some mascots who got replacements because their product master said no, and for good reason, I'm sure. But yeah, you'll see
how
a
old
lot
is
of
the
this
movie?
stuff.
When did the movie come out?
Ah, man, it was in production for quite some time. I think it was in production since 2003, because the voices were recorded way earlier than the movie finished.
Huh.
And it was handled by Lawrence Kasanoff, who was, I guess, one of the forerunners of all things Mortal Kombat on screen. And
Oh boy.
yeah, yeah. So that gives you an idea of what the production values are going to look like. Like, you know, even looking back on Mortal Kombat 1, a lot of the visual effects didn't age as well as I thought.
They
And that
really didn't.
is what the fight looks like. It looks like an entire animation of
The
Scorpion's
second one was the
snake
worst, though.
spear thing.
Yeah.
That shit was just so. Oh god, it was disgusting.
We
Second
did
one.
not speak of an annihilation.
Hmm.
How
Yeah,
dare
the,
you?
The first one, the first Mortal Kombat's kind of a good guilty pleasure movie, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
didn't
still.
even really think of that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun enough.
The narrative
movie.
is fine. It's just the visual effects haven't aged that well.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure,
For sure. For sure.
I'll bet. Yeah,
For
but
sure.
Annihilation. From
I'm not.
The jump was fucking terrible.
I'm not saying.
With
like.
Jax and his fucking metal arms, and then he
His
takes them off, and he's like
plastic
more
arms.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
That
His
makes no
plastic
sense.
arms.
Wait, he takes them off?
Yeah,
What do
Yeah,
you
he's
mean
just
he takes
stronger
them off. They're
because he
literally
believes.
They're literally like
Oh my
sleeves in the
god.
movie.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god,
it
I
makes no
forgot
sense.
about that. How
Fucking
retarded
horrible.
is that?
It's
Yeah.
so bad. And then
What-
and then like the animation of the guy transforming was also so bad, and turning
I remember
into
that vividly,
I-
yeah.
a fucking dragon body, that like a humanoid dragon was stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh my god, you know, I always figured that Jax's arms were cybernetic arms, like they were like, you know,
They are.
prosthetics.
There are supposed to be.
So-
Yes, they're supposed
yeah,
to
in the
be.
games they are.
In the games
yeah.
they are, yeah.
But in the movie, they're
But in the
basically
movie,
just
they're just
leaves.
like a
Yeah,
big
he
giant.
can take them on and off.
Yeah.
It's the
Scorpion's
stupidest
Revenge
thing.
did retcon
It's just
that.
like a
So
armor.
They did have him have the arms as prosthetics in Scorpion's Revenge. But it's just those movies, yeah, what the hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that they just didn't give a fuck. Like they replaced some, you know, actors, and you
Well,
know,
the actors
they,
left. Yeah, they left. They
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
wanna come back.
For good reason.
they were hoping that we wouldn't notice too.
Yeah.
It's like this is totally David Carradine. It's like, no, it isn't. Yeah, I remember some of the best quips in that movie. Like,
David
what is it?
Carradine. That's not David Carradine.
Oh, but that is
it
not
was
David
Highlander.
Carradine.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, Christopher
Yeah, you're
Lambert.
right.
Yeah, as in
I
Highlander.
had them confused too at one point, so yeah.
Fair
You're
enough.
right.
I mean, it's fair.
I'm not. Yeah, I would totally. I see.
They just
I see
have
what you
the
mean.
same, you know, old white guy, long hair,
Mm,
long
yeah.
white hair.
The white hair really is what kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be cool though if they did get him, dude. That would be amazing.
I mean, they can't anymore.
no, I'm talking about
Long
back
dead.
in that.
At the
I
time.
know
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
At the
yeah,
time,
I mean,
it would be funny if they did have him in there.
you could copy and paste either one of them onto Raiden. I don't.
Hey, you know,
make a
Disney
difference.
can, you know,
Yeah,
put in the face in there,
Yeah.
digital representation. Why not?
Yeah, we
they
can
get
bring back all
copyright
the
on a
dead
human
nowadays.
person.
Yeah, just deepfake and make him one of the elder gods.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Disney have enough money to get copyrights on people, right?
Sadly, they do.
Please, I don't want Admiral Tarkin invading my nightmares.
They get Michael Jackson, and now he's part of the MCU somehow.
All right, continue, D. Sorry to derail the.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
No,
went,
I mean,
totally went off
that's
of.
all I have on Food Fight. I guess I can probably slip a game in there. I
I
don't
mean, if you
know.
want,
Do
if you
it
want.
if you know.
If you
Yeah,
want,
If you have
if
me and
you
you know
want.
it, go ahead.
I'll put out Action 52. I'm not sure. Uh,
Anything by Suda
uh,
51?
Do you remember
no,
Area
I'm good
51?
for now. I'll probably jump into something later, though.
Does anybody
Cool.
actually remember Area 51 though?
No, I meant Suda 51.
Just do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Like, okay, you know what? On that, I'll go ahead and segue into mines
Go ahead, yeah.
if D is gone for now. And then I was thinking of one of my favorite cult classics that is objectively a terrible game, and that is Killer 7.
Ah.
Killer 7 was
Yeah, I remember
one
that.
of the
It was really
yeah,
bizarre.
it was one of the exclusive games for the GameCube. It was actually one of the original. I know that every nerd, most other nerds like hearing this are probably gonna be tired of hearing this, but Capcom had already signed up to make 5 exclusive games for the GameCube, and they were known as the GameCube 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the ones that actually came
Some
out
of
were.
them didn't release at all, ever.
I think the only one that released was either both that and
Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 7, yeah, and Resident Evil 4. But yeah, Killer 7 was just a bizarre game. Like, it had this. First of all, it had a very unique look, with its very like hyper stylized cell shading.
Yeah.
You played as this one guy called Harmon Smith who had 6 other personalities, and his and the gist of it is that you had to switch to different personalities, and you took the physical characteristics of those personalities to actually solve puzzles or fight the bad guys from the game.
Has anybody actually played that? I played it.
Oh, I
always
played it.
wanted to play it. I never played it.
Okay.
Well, I played it over and over in the GameCube.
Yeah, I have a copy.
Yeah,
Like I won it during a convention Smash tournament.
yeah.
Hmm.
It was very.
Was I there for that? I think I was there for that when that happened.
Yeah, it was AOD.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. It was an interesting game. It was just a really incredibly bizarre, like hyper, like everything was like a metaphor or some sort of symbolic thing, having to do with like the current events, like, especially things that like at the time of release, that was when the war against terrorism was in Iraq was going on. So there's a lot of allusions to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What else I gotta say? There's also the way that you traverse in that game was just completely different from any other game. Like, it was basically on rails, but but you can move back and forth through the rails, and sometimes you would get to different bifurcations of the
Yeah,
of
you
the
have
road, so you just
control over the rail that you're on. So
yeah,
you move back and forth, or you could go left or right.
yeah. Man, that game was just. I mean, it was definitely rated M, and it earned its mature rating right there. Like, there was a lot of gore. There's a scene where like
Yeah, those rails was just rated R.
I mean, there was a girl.
There was a lot of
total-
S&M kind of references too. So you got to
Yeah,
there was a shop owner that you had to interact with that came out of the fucking like ceiling or something shit like that. And he was like
he was
a
some sort of
gimp costume.
BDSM guy.
Yeah, he was. It's all a gimp costume.
Yeah.
Complete gimp costume. Yeah. So it was really fucking just out there.
Hell, there's this scene where like the caretaker of Harmon, who's apparently in some sort of comatose state, like is literally raping the old man.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's
like they
it's-
didn't. It was very weird. It's a very weird. I don't know how they got away with some of the things they did.
How did they get away with that on that was a GameCube exclusive, right?
That was a GameCube exclusive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How the fuck did Nintendo allow that?
I have
no idea. But
I
it
mean,
was-
it could be like, look, like at some point they didn't show them that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they
Sure,
didn't show
yeah.
them it at all, but they show them other things, right? And then like
Sure,
they
yeah.
don't have like the people that are supposed to rate it play through enough of the game to get to those parts. So
Yeah.
it just flew under the radar. I guess it was suggestive enough
surprising,
to
though.
assume
wa-
that
yeah.
that there was a rape happening, but like you still couldn't tell. Like it
could-
wasn't.
I guess that if you showed it
explicit.
out of context, you
Yeah.
could probably make the case that it's the old man having sex with the woman, but seeing it in context, you know that no, that's not that's not what's happening.
Yeah, that,
Either
right.
way, I'm surprised they got by.
Yeah. They got that game just had a lot of interesting things about it because the recent the director's I don't know what the actual name of the director is, but he goes by the moniker Suda51.
Yeah.
And he made the game with like actually with an American audience in mind. It's weird because the game is super Japanese, but he did it with like that kind of duality, that kind of like, pull back and forth between, directing it for an American audience from a Japanese perspective.
Right.
I mean, it's the same people that made the one with the laser sword or something.
Yeah, No More Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also an objectively bad game, by the way, that I totally enjoyed.
Oh yeah, a lot of people love that game. Both games. Yeah.
It's more of a.
They've come out with sequels.
The way I see it, it's the grindhouse of games.
Yeah.
Like it's not trying to be AAA, and it's not taking itself seriously whatsoever.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to earn that kind of like cult classic status.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Killer 7. I mean, I if I had to play it again, I understand that it would be objectively terrible. Like sometimes there are these quote unquote puzzles, which really just means you just have to, bring object A to, to place B and just bring in the right key, and or just switch to the right personality and use the special ability, and that to me is not a puzzle. That to me is just it's just basic work. But yeah, that game just happens to be so much more interesting than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, that was I didn't like the rails. It got really boring pretty quickly for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they were hard to navigate. But yeah, hell, if whenever it's on PC, so if it's ever on sale for $5, I'll definitely double dip. I mean, it's only been 15 years since I played it. Let's see. On the topic of movies, I'd say probably, Roadhouse. It's definitely the movie that it's objectively the worst movie I have ever seen, but it's hilarious to watch.
Roadhouse? What?
Roadhouse. Okay, let me read you the synopsis on Wikipedia. James Dalton is a professional cooler specialized bouncer. He's a world-renowned bouncer who has to tame this wild, dirty club, and it's just it's just as ridiculous as that sounds. He's a world-renowned bouncer to begin with. He has this weird.
Which is not a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
No bouncer.
No bouncer is world renowned for bouncing people.
He has a dark past, and his dark past is that he
All
accidentally.
bouncers have dark pasts. That's not unique.
No,
They didn't really
well,
get in that
he has-
business.
Well, he has the unique quirk of accidentally ripping people's throat out. That he's
Whoops.
This whoops.
Why do I keep ripping people's throat off?
Oh my goodness! All right.
It's hilarious. I definitely it's
I've
worth
heard
a
about
watch.
Roadhouse before. I've never actually seen it. Now I kind of want to watch it.
And just a bit of a cheat for me because I watched it with riff tracks and with a whole bunch of
yeah.
friends.
What about Hobo with a Shotgun? Come on, guys.
I never seen that.
That's
another really fucking. It's.
What was it
fucking-
about?
I mean
A hobo with a
that movie
shotgun.
can't. I mean, yeah, the movie is similar to Machete, the Machete movies. 'cause
Yeah.
It's one of the cut trailers from Grindhouse. One
Yeah.
of those fake trailers. And they made
And
it
they
into
made
a
him,
movie
and
with
they made it.
Rutger Hauer.
It's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
But there's a difference between something like
But that's
Hobo with a
going for the
shotgun.
camp. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
leaning
yeah,
into
they
it.
were going for it straight up. Yeah, for sure. They
Whereas
were.
Roadhouse was just like playing it straight.
It's definitely taking itself seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it Trolls? What was that troll? Leprechaun? Wait, no. Was it Leprechaun?
Oh, it's with Patrick Swayze, by the way. So you do have to work
Yeah.
in it.
The sways.
This Swayze.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I know.
Leprechaun. Was it Leprechaun
Leprechaun?
or
With Jennifer Aniston?
Trolls?
No, Jennifer Aniston wasn't in it. She swears she wasn't.
Yeah.
Now, what's that one?
Even though there's video of it, but
What was
I
that
love
one?
how she still denies it. It's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
it's fake news.
This was it. They're going to eat me. Oh my god, meme. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, here we go. They're eating her, and then they're going to eat me, and then he goes, "Oh my god." Yeah,
Oh.
it's Trolls 2. Okay, it's Trolls 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, Trolls 2. Do you know what the best part of Trolls 2 is, right? That there's no trolls in it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, there's no trolls in it. They.
What do they refer
What was
to
it?
them as?
They would. Yeah, the movie refers them to something else, and yet or goblins maybe. I can't remember.
I think it's goblins.
Yeah,
Let me
because
see.
they was it something like they didn't even understand what their own thing was, like their own creature.
I'm sorry, Troll 2. Troll 2 is very different from Trolls 2.
Right.
Yeah. Troll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the
Yeah.
animated troll. We're talking that
Yeah.
live action crappy thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Troll singular. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, they're supposed to be goblins that turn
Right,
people into
right.
vegetables.
Right. And that. Yeah, and they don't even. That's the funny thing. They changed the title of the movie. I think after they already made the movie, so then it further makes no sense for them to call them goblins, or some shit.
You know what's funny?
That's pretty
is
funny.
that
That's pretty funny.
I read that the directors it was a married couple that directed this.
Oh, that's.
Oh,
always
that's
great.
great.
Super
Just
Mario
like
Brothers.
remember Mario?
movie
Yes, I
ended
was about
really
to say
well.
that Mario
Wait,
Brothers.
really?
Yes,
That was
because
directed
that
by a
was
couple.
that it was fucking nightmare. It was a
Yeah,
nightmare.
everybody hated them.
Everybody hated being in the movie. It was just like
Bob
two
Hoskins and
two
John-
chefs in the
John
kitchen problem.
Leguizamo
Yeah.
would constantly get drunk on set.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't give a fuck.
Wasn't there like an accident where one of them got injured during like a stunt?
Oh my god!
I don't know.
think so.
Actually, I don't remember that story.
There's so much like
I think
shit
there is a
involving
lot
the
of-
production
Broke
in
his
that.
hand
Yeah.
or something.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Who? What? Broke?
Bob
what?
Hoskins.
Hoskins
yeah.
broke his hand during
Oh.
a stunt while,
Yeah.
while him and John were both wasted as hell trying to do a van stunt or something.
Oh my god.
And
Damn.
They broke his head. Oh, they're gonna break mine. Oh my god!
Man. That's kind of a guilty pleasure movie. I
it,
guess.
it really is. 'cause
Yeah.
Like,
I
there's
agree
so
too,
much
because it
stuff
was
about
just
Mario
so
wrong,
stupid.
Yeah.
But it still feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a twisted way.
It is a kind of a weird, twisted feeling watching that over again, because it's just like
Yeah.
you were just like, why am I watching this? And you're just captivated by the crap that's happening.
I mean, yeah, and all the creative directions for that movie just felt like, what if you gave like the Nintendo license to people still working for what's the website, Undergrounds?
Newgrounds or something.
Newgrounds. There you are. And they told them, okay, come up with your most bizarre shit.
and
And
what
Goomba-
because they come up with bizarre shit when they just naturally think creatively, but when they're forced to think to do it, they just it puts too much pressure on it. So now they come out with that.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I'll be back in 30 seconds. Just keep going.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, no problem.
Okay.
Oh my
I
god.
think in a case like that, there'd be a lot more nip slips for Daisy, and then like Yoshi would be like eating.
Nip slips.
Let's have Yoshi eat Goombas in bloody detail. Oh, we can only animate them eating their heads. But yeah, that movie is such a guilty pleasure, and yeah, I did
It's
hear a lot
nightmare.
about the production of it. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
necessarily a cursed production, but
Mm.
the guys who spearheaded the production were pretty much blacklisted. Where if they mentioned that they worked on Super Mario Brothers, that was the end of a job and the end of a pitch. Like they could have the best agent in the damn world. Oh, you worked on Super Mario Brothers, and that's the end. Please.
That's so funny. Yeah, that I think that just knowing what had happened to the production of it makes it even funnier to watch. Just thinking about like all the zany like it's just like the zany ideas that they put together, like the creatures and like what were they thinking like of like they're trying to like, oh, we're gonna make this realistic, but then add in like really goofy situations like the fucking elevator scene where they made them dance basically. Oh my god.
Those creatures were just nightmare inducing.
Yeah, creepy
Dennis
as fuck.
Hopper's King Koopa.
Yeah.
Son, I did that movie so you could have shoes. Dad, I didn't need shoes that badly.
Oh man.
Like seriously, those like Goombas with like gigantic, their giant torsos and their tiny little heads.
Yeah. For reals. What was it again? The plot was that he wanted that they were evolved dinosaurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they pretty much took a look at a lot of Mario games and merged them in the blender. They took Princess Daisy from Super Mario Land. They took Dinosaur Land from Super Mario World, but they thought Dinosaur World was the entire fucking Mushroom Kingdom. So so they made Daisy the princess of Dinosaur Land, but Dinosaur Land evolved all the humans, and that's how we got the urban setting of Mario Brothers. And it's just like, okay.
It just comes to mind to me that there's a conspiracy theory out there that people in power are like some sort of reptilians and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
the Wizard Man theory.
Yeah, it's like it's like the kind of those kind of conspiracy theorists, came up with the concept for this movie, but they also got on shrooms. So they just like wrote a screenplay on the first day, and they're like, okay, this is my magnum opus. It's done.
Use the
It's
force.
done.
I got it. Trust the fungus. That's brilliant. Trust the fungus, Mario.
Oh man, trust the fungus.
Didn't they drove off a cliff and the fungus like saved them and like
yeah. The fungus was the king, right? The mushroom king.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The king's fungus was all over the kingdom.
That is some bad athlete's food, man.
Why didn't they have Rainbow Road? They couldn't put in a Mario Kart reference in there. I mean, come on.
Mario,
really?
Actually, you know what?
Was where the wasteland was.
Bring back Mario the movie and explain how the fuck can a plumber have that many jobs?
I know, right?
And why do you have that many
race car
jobs?
driver, rally racer. Oh man.
I mean, just take a cue from all those porn actors. They're all like doctors, pizza delivery guys, plumbers.
That's
not that hard, apparently. Something else.
Luigi, I got a malpractice suit. I can't practice medicine no more.
Use the shroom, Mario. Use the shroom. Actually, we should watch that movie again.
I always have room to watch that movie.
That will be the movie night situation there.
That's a lot of people's guilty pleasure, though. Like, and then we got that Mario movie that's coming out in 2 years, approximately. So, who knows? Maybe it'll be okay. It's being handled by the Minions people. People like the yellow balls with one eye. So,
yellow balls with one.
I have no hopes for that.
Oh my god!
I mean, everybody knows how lovable those minions are.
I mean,
it
sells well, apparently.
In the dawn of time.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were like they're they've been around since caveman days or some shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. I thought Gru created them in his lab or
That's
something.
what I was thinking, right?
Mhm.
And I only like saw clips of that shit. I actually never watched the original, you know? Like the one where him, like the first one.
Yeah, I caught like the minions one time and then saw that was like pre-Gru and they were just saving the queen on their own or something.
Oh.
Weird.
You know what they remind me of? Remember how Ubisoft has those rabbits?
Yes, they hella remind me of that. Like
Yes.
100%.
But the rabbits were before them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I know. Like every time I see them, I always think of was it Raging Rabbits or something?
Raging
or
rabbits. yeah.
Rabid Rabbits. I don't know. Whatever.
Apparently. Apparently, there's a Rabbits TV show on Netflix.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they used
As
to be
well
on
as the
Nickelodeon, I think.
Super Mario show. You know, the
You
one
know
from
what
the
else?
80s.
Had a show? Rayman. Rayman used to have a show. And Rayman
Really?
was voiced by Billy West.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
You can find it online too. It's like it's bizarre that it exists.
Interesting.
Must have been a little easy to animate, I guess,
Yeah.
since you basically had no arms.
Yeah.
Just a walking torso.
Guilty pleasure train is still rolling, so let's see what
Uh,
throwing the steam in.
okay. I had a bunch. We've already talked about a good. I mean, we talked about a good amount, but I didn't pick any of those. But I picked. I think the one I'm gonna settle on maybe is Alien Resurrection. I
Ah.
I like that. I meant to watch it before the podcast so I could sort of like, cause I haven't watched it in like years. But I didn't get a chance to. But what I did watch, I mean, this was like 6 months ago. It was like Alien 3, and comparing those two movies, before I watched Alien 3 the most recent time, like I remember that movie being just okay, but it's actually fucking awful. Like the plot is pretty good. Like it's like, you know, Ripley crash lands and she after aliens and she's on like a prison planet, like, and it's like the premise isn't bad, but like the way the alien, like they really lean into like the morph part of the xenomorph, so like the alien like conforms to like a dog form this time instead of a human form. So I guess it's supposed to be nimbler and like more like a canine. I guess they never really explain it. But that movie is just it's just bad. Like it's not fun to watch or anything. Alien Resurrection, on the other hand, I is a fun movie for me. Like I don't think it's as I do think it's better than Alien 3, but obviously it doesn't compare to the first two. But it has a lot of. It's just it's a rewatch. It's a very rewatchable movie, and there's interesting plot points like, you know, Ripley is now a clone because obviously she dies in Alien 3, and you know,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, and that's where that like, you know, sort of classic thing of the whole like kill me thing comes from, where she walks into the room full of like deformed clones, and there's this like giant fat one with like a shriveled boob like just sitting there. She's like, kill me, and she like flamethrowers her to hell.
Right.
You know, this you know,
That's
but the
all
character-
before the that came out before Full Metal Alchemist and their
Oh, yeah.
you know
Oh yeah. Way before,
brother,
Yeah.
big brother.
Yeah,
Aw.
and it has a good cast. You got Winona Ryder in there, Ron Perlman. Obviously, you got Gary Dourdain, and obviously Sigourney Weaver's back. But yeah, it's just fun. Like it is it's not amazing by any standards, but it is like the set pieces going from one to the next are fun, and the way the character deaths are fun, and I actually
It was
kinda like-
entertaining.
yeah, it is definitely entertaining. And I like the way it ends too. It ends with them like arriving on Earth basically, which is up until that point, and still pretty much for the most part, the first time the Alien franchise had gone to Earth. And again, it only ends there. Like you only see the clouds, and like they're like, you know, Winona Ryder's character is an android, and she's like, I've never been here, and like, you know, Sigourney Weaver's like, neither have I. But it, it's I almost wish they had continued with that storyline because I would be interested to see how how Earth looks in that future.
Yeah.
Because Ridley Scott has talked before about how Blade Runner and Alien are like connected, and how like the Blade Runner like on Earth, like when you see in the original Blade Runner, like basically he made that world after he made Alien to basically say like the workers of Weyland Yutani, when they got back, like these blue collar workers in space, when they got back on Earth, this is basically what they would be coming back to, like the nightclub that like Deckard goes to and stuff like. So it's interesting, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a lot of dumb stuff like the fucking alien uh, human hybrid fucking thing, and like there's a lot of dumb stuff, but it's pretty fun, and it's
I
definitely way better than Alien 3.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that movie. I think I remember watching it when I used to live back in El Salvador. And honestly, at that time, I had only watched maybe the first and the second movies. I never watched the third.
Yeah.
But I mean, to date, I think I rewatched it maybe a year or two ago, and yeah, I found the movie highly entertaining.
Yeah.
The creature effects were good too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there was always a little bit of tension here and there because pretty much everybody goes off in a they all have their own little cool death.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it had good visuals too. I mean, there's some things that like kind of stay with you. Like one of the guys gets his skull open from the back. He grabs a little
Oh,
piece of
yeah.
his brain and like it's wiggling in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were some cool things to that movie, but yeah, objectively, it was just, it wasn't a masterpiece.
Yeah, I know, because I know a lot of people like they say like they think obviously the first two were like sort of where they should have stopped, but like
Yeah.
a lot of people they say like, oh, Alien, because Alien 3, like, I mean, people forget that movie's directed by David Fincher, which is fucking insane. Like he's he's one of the best directors on earth, and it's not a great movie. Every director has at least one. That's fine, but like I I don't know. I think people sort of hold that movie in higher esteem than Alien 3 in higher esteem than it deserves, just because David Fincher is attached to it, and
Right.
they give, because a lesser known director is attached to Alien Resurrection. When comparing the two, they just sort of automatically pick Alien 3. I think I feel like without like rewatching them both side by side. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Written by Joss Whedon, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Some French guy.
Yeah.
Some French dude.
It's still written by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the back in the day with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, can't beat that classic there, huh? And
Wait,
then there's
no, did he direct Amelie? Oh shit, he's the one who directed Amelie.
well,
It's that French movie. It's like really.
Oh,
well done.
you mean the the
Yeah,
French
yeah.
director? Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was all
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he's a good director.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny how
I was like, Joss Whedon, what?
written by Joss Whedon, but directed by the French dude. Oh, that's cool. Any video games that you sort of regret playing, but also don't regret playing?
Not really. I mean, yeah, I kind of just stuck to movies because I couldn't really think of. I was trying to think of video games. There are some, I guess, like maybe something like Beyond Two Souls or something, which I did like despite all of its numerous flaws. I think the performances, like Ellen Page's performance, and Willem Dafoe's in there, and
Yeah.
Kareem Hardison and stuff. Yeah, it's well performed, it's well acted, and I think felt for the character of Jodie because of Ellen Page's character and the writing. But it's not a good game at all. The gameplay is all over the place, and it's sort of a hodgepodge of like strangely like a military strategic like there's stealth sections and like war zones and stuff, but then there's like it's about a ghost connected to his sister. It's very all over the place for sure. But yeah, I guess that would maybe be the one game that comes to mind. I stuck with movies like the other ones that I picked just to sort of run down the list quickly were like something like Resident Evil Apocalypse.
I was thinking the exact same thing too.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's fucking awful. But
It is.
I actually saw that movie in theaters in the fall of 2004 because like I was so hyped because like Resident Evil 4 came out in the very beginning of 2005 and they had just delayed it. And I was like I couldn't wait to play the game. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna just watch this movie in theaters just because I have so much Resident Evil hype inside me right now. So
Yeah.
I watched it, and I'm like, man, you got a lot of hot chicks in here. You got Mila Jovovich, Sienna Guillory as Jill, but it's a fucking terrible movie. But it is a
ride though. Just seeing.
Yeah, it's a fun ride, and I do like sort of their recreated Raccoon City, and it's interesting. You got other good actors like Jared Harris and stuff in there, but the whole fight at the end between Alice and Nemesis and hand-to-hand combat is absurd, and it's just there's so many problems. But yeah, that's another one. And then you got things like something like the Saw movies, which I enjoyed the first three, and then I watched the rest, and they're all pretty. I mean, they're not all bad, to be fair. I think actually there's a case to be made for the first and the third one. They have sort of deeper stories, slightly deeper stories with like the father and daughter relationship and stuff like that. But I also watched the Purge movies like a month ago.
I never watched the Purge movie. Not a
They're
single
a
one.
they're a fun like sort of like if you have a free Sunday afternoon, you have nothing else to do, and there's like you just have like a few maybe the whole afternoon. Like it's fun. Like they're sort of a fun ride. It's
Right.
interesting social commentary. Interesting like premise of like there's one night of the year where because like in this world like people to quell aggression and also to help the economy, people just like are allowed to do any crime for like 12 hours.
It's funny that people in that world must be so disciplined. Like, oh, here comes like one day a year that I can actually
Yeah.
go out and sell drugs.
Well, because
Or
that's
speed.
that's like the rationalization for it in the movie is that like since they started the purge, like crime rates are down like 90%, and like poverty is down and all that stuff. But then they obviously through the movie they reveal why that is, and it's because like all the rich people have all the money to have all the weapons and stuff, so they just go out and they kill poor people who are in like who they can't protect themselves and they're already weakened
Right.
and stuff. So that's why there's less poor people because they're dead. Like
Right.
Mhm.
yeah, not so much because
It
the
wasn't
purge
to
actually
help-
works like
yeah.
in the way to like quell aggression and stuff.
It's just that now that they prepare for the whole year just for that one day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like
that's-
it's the exact opposite situation.
Social commentary. The closest thing I ever came to watching those things was that episode of Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
they did do that.
Mhm.
It's like the purge, okay?
That's interesting. I wonder how well thought out, that world for the Purge is.
I mean, they go into the lore across the movies. It's not very well thought out at all, to be honest. But yeah,
It's more like they stuck with one like one-liner reasoning.
it's kind of like
yeah.
one okay idea spread
Right,
across four
right.
movies. And they explored a bit, but yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, at first it sounds like that's the case. Like for the very first purge, it sounds like, you know, it's an excuse to have people inside, one enclosed space and have a whole bunch of people try to murder them in a kind of,
Right.
slasher movie. Yeah, but it's
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, yeah. The first one is like revolves around a family when they're like rich and they have it's the guy who designs like security systems for the rich. So like he's they're in a gated neighborhood and like he's designed all the security systems so that the rich people can like stay inside and like not obviously not be killed by
Right.
all the purging people. And but then obviously it goes into the way where like, oh well, some of the richer people are, they have these petty squabbles and stuff, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna kill this person on purge day. So then the rich turn against each other, and then you know a poor guy who's being chased by like these other purgers like comes in, and the daughter lets him in, or I think maybe the son lets him in, and that like basically the purgers who are after that homeless guy are like, okay, you can if you let him out, like if you just give him to us to kill, like we'll leave you alone, but if you don't, like we'll break into your house and we'll kill your whole family. And so it's
Hmm.
they're in some moral dilemma there. Again, it's not very deep, but they're fun. They're pretty fun movies.
I'll check him out. As well as the Saw movies. The Saw movies were, yeah, like you said, like the very first and second movies were really great. I can't recall watching the third one.
Yeah, I'd say the first and the third one are definitely the best. But then it just after that, because it just becomes so ridiculous. Because I mean, I think there are like eight of them, and
He
and
dies on the
Saw
third, doesn't he?
dies in the end of the third one. But then
Okay.
they're like, I remember when they were coming out too. They're like, we're gonna fuck with the timeline. Like, and people, reporters were like, well, when does this take place? And they're like, well, it takes place at the
Always.
same time as the ending moment of Saw 3. And like, but how's that possible? So like weaving together all these like poorly conceived plot points, and they
That's
they
funny.
mess with the timeline, and it gets so ridiculous because it basically becomes like, okay, Saw dies, but then he has an
How to
apprentice.
write yourself in the
Yeah,
corner and keep
he
making
has
you right
yeah,
further in
he
the
has an
corner.
apprentice who he instructed to carry out everything in case he died. But then that apprentice goes rogue. But he actually has another backup apprentice to
Yeah.
take out him in case he goes rogue.
Yeah.
But
It's a
then that
plan within
guy
the
goes
plan
rogue
within
as
the
well,
plan.
and
What the
then
fuck?
and then that guy is taken out by his final backup apprentice, who ends up
Jesus.
being the same victim from the very first Saw, who saw the error of his ways and
Mhm.
like became like infatuated with Saw.
Yeah.
So Saw trained him to like be the backup. It's just so stupid.
Yeah. It's so bizarre.
Wasn't he a doctor, the final victim in the first one?
The
Yeah.
story within the
Who
story
cut
He,
off
within
his
the
like-
story.
carry
Yeah, I
elbows,
remember
yeah.
it.
The plan within the plan within the plan. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I wonder what happened. Was he unable to like find a job as a doctor with one?
Well, no, like the whole point, the whole reason Saw is doing it is because like he's trying to quote unquote teach people the error of his ways, the error of their ways, and basically, if they're willing to go through enough pain to get out of their traps, out of his
Mhm.
traps, then like he lets them live. And basically, what happened was like this guy, he cuts off his own foot, and spoilers, the end of the first Saw, and he gets out, and that's how the movie ends. And then in the eighth Saw, in the last one, they reveal that like when he got out, he was like, "You're right. I was a terrible person. Now to redeem myself, I will become your apprentice and kill people alongside of you."
to redeem myself, I just cut off my
Yeah.
own goddamn foot.
Yeah, exactly.
You should
yeah.
redeem yourself. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It
The
wasn't.
I'm
an-
rationale
sorry,
in those movies is very, very thin.
Yeah.
Like he I think he has cancer. I think it's like lymphoma or some
Yeah.
tumor or something, and like he like he's like, well, I didn't appreciate my life, so now I'm gonna take it out on everyone else who doesn't appreciate theirs, and it's just so thin,
It's- It's like coming up to somebody and kicking them in the balls and hoping that they're expecting them to, to
Thank
apologize to
you.
you.
Yeah.
You were right for doing that. I was a bad person.
I'm so sorry, my balls were in the way of your foot.
I was the wrong person the whole time. I was the
Yeah.
bad person. It's the gaslighting effect.
Yeah.
You somehow convince the victim that they are the perpetrator of their own pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right, it wasn't. But it was cancer. That was one of the things. Was cancer, right? But the other one wasn't it that like because his wife got like beat up or some shit. I lost the baby. Wasn't that another driving?
That was like another side, like small side thing that they bring in like the fourth or fifth movie. But yeah, So those two
They keep on bringing up more reasons.
Yeah, there's a few small reasons that they bring up. Yeah. None of which justifies these horrible torture devices that this guy puts these people in.
The writers are all like, man, we should just make his life more and more sad, so that the audience would feel sympathy for him.
I mean, the thing about those movies is that they're so obviously built around the torture devices. Like, they come up with these ingenious torture devices, and then they're like, okay, let's build a very thin plot around this to get the characters into them.
At that point, they should have just kept with just a copycat.
Sure.
Like, why was it necessary to keep on making apprentices? They just
Yeah,
got a guy that's a copycat, like who has no association with them, but has like respect for his engineering ability, and he himself is an engineer, maybe.
Could be one of the cops.
Yeah, he is an engineer.
Speaking of, you know what? That reminds me. There was this one movie called, I think, The Citizen, and that was Gerard Butler. And Jamie Foxx?
What is it? Law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
Bad movie, but I
really
enjoyed the revenge aspect. Like,
it's fun. It's fun enough.
the part where he captured the guy and it was making him like cutting him up or something, and letting him and drugged him in a way where he could feel everything, can't do anything, and he's like watching himself get just sawed and like ripped apart. That was amazing. And then like the fact that he's stuck in prison while all these traps and all these things that he had already set up is being triggered or whatever. I mean, or at least that's the premise of the thing.
Yeah.
Which I was always thinking like, man, that's such a Saw thing to do.
Yeah.
And they could have totally played that, you know. That's a pretty cool villain, I think. That would have been.
It sounds like, you know, the people could be exploit more of that whole, you know, the bad guy is omniscient kind of thing. Like in this kind of movies, like that main protagonist knows everything that everybody else is gonna do.
Right.
So, you know, there could be more, you know, movies along those lines.
I mean, I don't.
It's just that it's hard.
More movies like that, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, these are bad movies for that reason. Like, the fact that he just—it's
so conveniently the guy's so conveniently smart.
Yeah, even after his death, like he had all like a million steps and apprentices just waiting. You know, it's so it's like that. It's like that show, The Following. Right? Where
he's
like the serial killer. And
God,
like,
I could not keep watching that show.
It started interesting. The first 6 episodes are like pretty good, but then it's like, oh, everyone's in on it. The lawyer and the cop
then
and the helicopter pilot
ridiculous.
And everybody in society is behind the serial killer. It's like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not even. It's just not even believable.
It was this 2013 drama. Like Kevin Bacon was the star. It was like a 3-season show or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know that the guy in what was it? So the murder victim in Altered Carbon. You know what I mean?
Murder victim
in the first season?
Carbon.
Yeah, in the first one where he dies, but he's the one that.
Oh, the rich dude.
The rich dude. Yeah,
he plays the serial killer.
He plays the serial killer in what we're talking about. Yeah, he was.
He's an awesome actor. I mean, there's a lot of, again, it's another one of those things where it's like, man, the cast is great, but this is
Were you guys the one who told me that? Were you guys the one who told me that Altered Carbon had to be canceled?
Yeah, it was canceled.
Yeah,
lack of viewership and the budget was too high.
I can see the budget being way too high.
Yeah, it sucks too because the third season was supposed to be the last one to like wrap up the story.
Why do they keep doing that? I mean, you guys have, you know, plenty of money. Might as well just finish it.
I can't imagine. I don't think the viewership for the first season was very high either. But I guess it was just high enough for them to make another season.
Right.
Yeah. It's too bad a lot of people didn't see the second one, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird in the sense that I've got plenty of people I know that have seen it, but I don't know.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh.
The second season.
yeah, no, the second season, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I there's people I know that's definitely kept up with it, but I don't know. Maybe it was just not popular amongst more of a general audience. I guess maybe the people I'm
Yeah,
talking about is a little niche.
It tends
I
to
mean,
be a little.
cyberpunk in general is just like such a
It's such a hard, yeah.
it's such a cult, like fucking very small subgenre. Like it's not even a full genre that like,
Mhm.
and it's usually like just sort of by its nature not very accessible.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still after all these years,
It's kind of an enigma.
hasn't really taken off.
Yeah.
I guess it can be a little bit tough for newcomers because you have these two genres that are, one
Maybe-
it's really high concept with the sci-fi,
Right.
and the other one is, the detective.
Maybe that's the problem. Like,
noir.
yeah, like maybe
Plus
the problem.
plus the social commentary of
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
the socioeconomic divide and stuff.
It's very hard for people to keep up with what's going on because it's a world that they're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere in writing where like that was the hard thing about science fiction in general and fantasy, like hardcore fantasy. Like it's hard for it to
Yeah.
be popular because you have to catch up the audience like what the fuck the world is like. Because you can't just assume that
Right.
they fucking
There's
know.
so many rules, especially in
Right.
something like fantasy. Like there's so many rules that
Yeah.
that are like established. Like something like The Witcher. Like if you
Mm.
watch like bringing that as a Netflix series, I who didn't see it coming after the success of Witcher 3 as a game, but like it like in the first episode of that show, there's so much exposition.
Yeah.
Because they have to tell you all the
Yeah.
rules of magic and like
Mhm.
all these different races and the way the Witchers work and all these different things. It really is like a lot.
Right, and it's even harder for a fucking movie to try and do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, having text come off of the fucking screen sometimes could be just come off as a really, like ugh kind of feeling.
I mean, it's
Oh,
even
sure.
harder.
Yeah.
Even harder when you put things out of chronological order for no reason other than to just be stylish, and you end up making it really much more complicated, and you have to be Witcher.
Yeah. There is that.
I had to watch that twice.
Everybody got confused with that.
Yeah.
I only like happened to catch the part where what was it, the prince, or like the king it was in a flashback, and I saw him in the background, and I'm like, wait a second. And then that whole time I'm hanging up on that, and I keep on thinking about it for like another so many episodes to realize that these are different timelines.
Yeah. Well, it's also the fact that no one looked any
No one
different after,
aged.
like
Yeah.
30 years. Even like the fucking bard. Like he looked
The
exactly
bard,
the same.
especially, dude, that made
Like that was the thing that,
fucking no
that I was
sense.
hung up on, where I was like, how can this be two different timelines if he looks the same? Like it makes sense that like Geralt and Yennefer
Yeah.
would because they age slower, but like
yeah,
him, it was just like he's just
he
a
has
normal
no
person.
reason.
Like,
Yeah,
he looks,
exactly.
and he didn't have any more gray hair.
And there's this
no wrinkles,
stupid
nothing.
line. Oh, you got crow's feet. I see them crow's feet on your eyes.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? I'm surprised that it survived just on, like on everything else being entertaining.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, there were plenty of boobs too. So that
plenty.
helps.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot
that's
of
true.
boobs.
Yeah, a lot of boobs, a lot of boobage. Her losing her virginity and stuff like that, and that was great. Yay! You get to see a crippled.
Plenty of Henry Cavill, without a shirt too. I'm sure that brings in the ladies.
Sure. Yes.
And 10% of guys.
I hear
Yeah,
that. I hear that for
actually,
those seats.
Yennefer's backstory, that was like my favorite part of that. That was really cool because I didn't know that. Like playing, because I've only played the third game, and while that's like in my top 10 games of all time,
Yeah,
I
that
don't really,
takes place-
I didn't know that.
Right. That takes
And it
place
was
further
really,
in the
really
future,
cool
right?
and like heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fucking day I'm gonna finish a fucking game.
One day.
I have it both on my PC and my PS4.
It would be really nice if they remastered
Just-
all three of those games.
just
and,
how about
like,
this?
Put
You
them on consoles.
Start a stream, and then you'll be motivated to keep playing, Because then you'll be all like, all right, there's evidence that I'm playing this right now.
I know. I'm gonna be like, all right, you guys are gonna help me finish this.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah,
I gotta
mean-
be prepared for the next season of The Witcher.
I will finish what you started. I'm gonna be looking at a picture of myself 6 months ago when I last tried to play The Witcher.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
sweet. We'll talk about all that, and thank you everybody again for listening.
Indeed, indeed. Have a good night. See you next episode. Bye bye.